Hey guys, Aaron from Anarchy Outdoors. We're excited to bring you another short video on one of the top questions we get from our customers. And that is, what MOA scope base should I be using, or how do I choose an MOA scope base? So a couple things to consider when we're considering how much well, first off, let's define. So what we're talking about when selecting an MOA scope base is there's an angle from the front to the back. So a scope base that has more MOA, say this one's a 0, but like the one on my rifle here is a 50. So what it actually does is it cants slightly down, right? That allows your rifle scope to use more internal elevation, and that's built into it. So which MOA scope base should we pick? The standard in the industry for a lot of years has been either 0 or 20 MOA. You can walk into any gun store and on the counter you'll find Bagaras and Christensen's and Tikas and some other rifles with 20 MOA scope bases or 0s. That's been the standard for a long time. Since about 2015, the optics market has accelerated its R&D and its research and development and several other things. The scopes that are being produced in today's market have a lot of internal adjustment, have a lot of really awesome features that allow you to stretch your rifle farther and farther. Ammo manufacturing is improving, things are becoming more and more long range. So things to consider when you're selecting a scope base for your rifle. Number one, what is the use case? Are you looking to hunt with your rifle? Are you looking to precision long range? You're looking to plink at the range? What is your extreme range of your rifle that you're going to shoot? Is it 500 yards? Is it 800 yards? Is it 1,000 yards? These are all questions to ask yourself when you're thinking about what MOA scope base you should use. So typically, I like to suggest to people 30 MOA scope bases are fastly becoming what I would consider to be kind of the golden standard. If you're looking for, that 1,000-yard golden mark, you can get there with a 20, you can get there with a 30 and a little beyond, depending on your scope selection and your choices. Now, if you're doing extreme long range with some of the larger calibers and you're going 2,000 meters or 2,000 yards or beyond, then you might start to consider 40 or 50 or 60 MOA bases combined with an optic such as this one that has a lot of internal travel, so it allows you to be able to adjust out there for your larger calibers. So as an example, we'll take what's sitting on the table here as a use case and we'll walk through it. Back here we have my custom CZ 457 rifle. I want this to be a 500-yard 22 long rifle. Yes, you heard me correctly. 500-yard 22 long rifle. Okay, and I've had this rifle for 4 or 5 years, and I've gone through several iterations of different scope bases and things. So I've gone through several iterations of this rifle. As I said, I've had it for a few years, and through those iterations, I've pushed the limits of the rifle, and I've also learned several things about MOA and different things like that. So this rifle has a 50 MOA scope base. I tried to convince Area 419 to make a 70 MOA scope base, but they told me no. So I improvised. So I have a 50 MOA scope base that allows me to push out to like 375 or 400 yards with a 22 long rifle. And then because my scope, which is a Vortex Gen 3, has 36 mils of adjustment, I'm not using that whole adjustment, so I added a 20 MOA mount. So I have a total of 70 MOA in this rifle between the scope mount and the base. And that allows this optic and this setup to get out to about 585 yards without having to use the reticle and the scope for more elevation. So I looked at it first. What was my use case? I wanted to shoot 500 yards, so 50 MOA was perfect for me, and then I could still zero at 50, so I added an additional 20 in the scope mount, and I can still zero at 50 yards with this rifle. So I decided to pick a 50 MOA scope base. So right here in front of us, we have a project that I'm currently working on. And so we'll go through the same thing. What's the use case? I want a 200 yard, 150 to 200 yard prairie dog rifle in 17 HMR, okay? Do I need a 50 MOA scope base for a 17 HMR that's only shooting 150 yards? No. So I selected just the basic 15 MOA scope base from Area 419 because they make that for the CZ. And then I selected my optic. I selected this Arkin EPL4, which has enough travel in the turret to do what I wanted. And that is a 150, 200 yard 17 HMR. So when you're looking at what MOA scope base you need, again, identify the use case, look at your optic, and then see what you want to accomplish. And then you can kind of, from there, you can pick the MOA scope base that you want. And as a golden rule of thumb, on a rimfire, if you're using a decent optic with, say, 30 mils of adjustment or 90 plus MOA of adjustment, you would want to run at least a 30 or a 40 MOA scope base. Now, if you're shooting a centerfire rifle with a 6 Creedmoor or 6 GT or whatever, the golden standard is 30 MOA. You can still get away with 40 as well. And if you're shooting a very large caliber, out past 2,000 yards or meters, then you start thinking about 50 and 60, 70 MOA scope bases to help you accomplish your goal. So hopefully that answers your question. If you have any other questions, thoughts, or comments, please leave them on the video. But remember, it all starts with understanding the use case and the optic that you want to use. Guys, until next time, have a good one.